Yeah, that was. I mean, we thought it was going to be a war, and then it became more of a war than I even thought. I mean, not only we got warriors, Barton's got warriors. Every time we play these guys, it's a knockdown, drag out, physical. I mean, that was a great college basketball game, and luckily we came out on top. But props to Coach Levency, Coach Zim, and those guys. They had a bunch of seniors that were fighting tooth and nail for their continuation of their season, and I mean, I thought they gave us their best punch possible, and we got some tough guys too. So luckily we end up finishing on top.
Played probably your best 5 minutes of the game in overtime, and did so after the way that the last game went in overtime. How refreshing was that, or rewarding was that to have that come in that point in the game?
Well, we've been a pretty good overtime team. I mean, I don't know the statistics behind it, but I always feel really confident with these guys when we walk into OT because we practice those situations. We do those in the game, and during practice we do overtime situations. We were down 3 at the last media. We work on that stuff. And I told them we've done it in practice. We can do it out here. So I was proud. I mean, I feel like the last game we went to OT, that was more of the asterisk compared to what we normally do heading into OT. But I've got a lot of confidence in these guys. I mean, like I said, these guys, we got guys playing over 40 minutes tonight. And so I was just proud that they found a way. I mean, we got guys puking on the sideline at the bench and falling out, and but they found a way when they stepped on that court to utilize every bit of intestinal fortitude and find a way to win at the end.
Bradlee started, I think it was 1 for 9 from 3, and then hit some big ones late in the game. So staying with it and then coming up clutch at the end of the game, how do you kind of describe that roller coaster?
Well, I work on my game all summer, all throughout the year, and my teammates would get me open looks. I just won't knock them down, but I know down the stretch, the pass didn't matter. They were going to need me to make a shot, and I knocked one couple down.
Yeah, I mean, we know postseason statistically teams usually don't shoot it great, but that's why these guys put the work in the gym. They're able to see if one doesn't go in, that shouldn't affect the next shot. And it wasn't just Brad. I mean, Brad stepped up and hit some big shots. I mean, Jamarvius Jones is a senior for us. He hit some monster threes when we really needed him, and a guy that we haven't called on as much as we probably should have this year. Nye hit a big three. I mean, it's not necessarily that you missed the shot. It's how you respond to that miss. And I thought our guys had a pretty quick memory when it came to that and hit some big shots in crunch time.
Yeah, Coach, can you take us through your head on that play, the Elijah block, where you just kind of chased down the whole sequence? He's like laying on the floor after the offensive rebound. He gets down the floor and just spikes into the floor. Just like, what did you see on that play? Because I feel like that kind of sealed it.
I didn't see E-Man until he was jumping to block the shot. I mean, I kind of assumed he's almost blacking out in our huddle over here trying to catch his breath. So I just assumed the play was going to happen on the other end. And then all of a sudden it felt like he ran past everybody. And, we told him in the huddle, there's a reason you're Defensive Player of the Year in the league. You got to make plays to help us win games. And as much as he was trying to catch his breath and all that, I think he felt like he didn't play very well tonight. So I think he kind of utilized that as a way to be like, I'm a pretty darn good basketball player, and I want to make sure I make a play for my teammates to help us win. And that's what we talked about. One play. One play is going to make a difference in postseason. One play is the difference between a great team and a championship team. And that was E-Man's one play that he made in that possession that really helped us continue with the momentum we had.
Does he kind of do freakish stuff like that in practice all the time? That's for anybody. Has he done anything like that often?
We
That's
done
E-Man
seen
for
some
you.
crazy things.
Yeah, that's E-Man for you.
Yeah.
That's definitely him.
I mean, pound for pound, I've said this when we recruited him. I think Elijah Cobb is one of the most talented players that's ever come through Pembroke. And the second he can get a killer mentality, he'll be unstoppable. And that's why we try to push him. That's why we try to feed him the ball. That's why we try to challenge him, is because once he realizes that when you're stepping on a court, and I don't care who we're playing in this region, E-Man's the most talented person on the court. So if he can start to have a little bit more killer instinct in those moments, it's going to bode well for our team.
And specifically, what do you want to do better to win the game tomorrow? There are some things you guys struggle with. You didn't have the best shooting, a lot of turnovers. Which kind of specifically things do you want to fix? And that can be for anybody, for coach.
Okay.
I step up. I didn't have a good game. When it comes to taking care of the ball, I had 5 turnovers. So that's really what caused them to stay in the game. Us turning the ball over and them leading to fast break points. So tomorrow we got to take care of the ball, and refs not calling a little soft, a little foul. So we got to go in, paint strong, take care of it, go up strong, and just knock down shots.
To pick up off of what he was talking about, just cut down on the turnovers. We're a pretty darn good team in the half court, so if we don't give teams free points, who knows what the score could be.
Yeah, and it's something we've talked about and worked on, and everybody. I felt like during the game we were getting the ball where it needed to go, which is paint. I mean, the way you kind of beat that zone is you got to get the ball to paint high post because that usually opens up the rest of the floor when they collapse. And then there were times we went in there soft. And so that was something we talked about in the locker room. I mean, we were plus 12 on the boards. We held them to 34 from the field. Usually those numbers equate to a pretty large differential in end-of-point game. But with 17 turnovers and all the points they had of our turnovers, that's where that comes back in there. So we collectively as a group got to handle the ball better against two really good teams in Emmanuel and Chowan.
Nygell, you came out of the game when you had the free throw. Was that a back roll?
I fell on my tailbone. You know, like when you first like make contact, you feel that sting. That's what I was feeling, but I had to just play through it.
Yeah. And then but after that, I mean, had some really key baskets. So
Yeah.
try playing through it.
Honestly, I know what Coach told us last night that it was going to take a lot for us four to step up. Me, E-Man, Elijah, and Juwan to step up. And when I went out, I thought about that moment. I'm like, nah, my team need me. I can't be on the bench, so I had to play through it.
Going into tomorrow, both of the possibilities have beaten you recently, or most recent meeting. So, and you talked about playing a lot of minutes today. So, going into tomorrow, what does all that entail?
I mean, rest. I mean, it's going to be a lot of rest, especially for the high-minute guys. I mean, I told these guys in that meeting last night, you know, to win in March, you got to ride your horses. And we've luckily got some pretty good horses to ride. And we've been able to have guys like them in the past. So this is a big step-up moment maturity-wise and taking ownership of this program from some of those guys in that locker room. So it's going to be a lot of rest, a lot of mental preparation for the game tomorrow. And then, you know, when the ball tips up, see what we can do.
And I'm guessing you guys are going to stay and watch this game. What are some of the specific things you're going to look for between the two teams to try to take into tomorrow's game?
I don't know if you've heard of Emmanuel's player named KJ, but he's pretty good at basketball. So, I mean, really just watching that. I mean, Chowan is very similar to us. Defense and rebounding emphasis, a very physical team. I think that we're number one in the country in rebound margin. I think they're fifth in the country rebound margin. And so at our place, it was a knockdown, drag-out fight. And, I mean, it's not going to be too dissimilar of what just happened with Barton. Emmanuel's a little bit different than that. So, I mean, we know the scout for both teams. And so it's just being able to apply that scout in the game and just look for little nuances if anything has changed over the last couple of weeks since we saw them.
Anything else? All right. Congratulations, guys.
Thank you.
Thank you, guys.